Welcome to this webinar on shortest path to PHP Pro Life for beginners. I'm Pankaj Agrawal, founder of Next Software Solutions and your host as well as speaker for today. Okay, so we'll move to the next step. Today we are here to talk about the shortest path to PHP Pro Life, and I'll be talking about own my own life, where I have taken this short path to PHP Pro Life. I was not not a computer science background person. Um, I was a 100% electronics guy, uh, and sudden turn of events in life moved me from electronics to PHP, and it has been a very nice journey, a rocking one, but a very nice journey. Uh, so I would like to tell you my story only because I believe it'll help you decide and understand whether you can do it or not. If I can do it, it is very likely that you will be able to do it. So I did my electronics and communication engineering BTech from NIT, National Institute of Technology, Bhopal, in 2007. Since childhood, I used to think about electronics, I used to think about robotics. I never wanted to be a software engineer, frankly speaking. Even in college, I used to do robotics, and I used to teach robotics to other students. I used to participate in robotics competitions, and I even won in competitions uh, in several colleges, including IIT Kanpur. So it was my passion, my life. I loved it. Uh, when I completed my college, I got placed in a very reputed central government organization called CDOT as a research engineer. So my life was set. I thought this is the best thing I can do, become a research engineer, and I wanted to be a scientist. As soon as I joined the institute, I realized this is not what I wanted to do. So till I joined as a research engineer in CDOT, I thought this is the best thing I can do. And when after joining, I realized that this is not what I wanted to do. I had a lot of free time there, and I spent few days on learning PHP when I was there. We have new computer. Yeah. So I spent a few days learning there. So that is when I started into JavaScript, HTML, and PHP. This was not part of my job. I had around 6 or 7 months of my job time when I had nothing else to do. I had my own time where I could chat, where I could spend time on internet, where I could do anything. And I found a site called Rent a Coder. Today there are a lot of sites like Freelancer and Elance and other sites. I think some of them have joined into freelance, I guess, freelancer.com. So earlier it was VWorker, and then I guess it turned to Rent a Coder, and then that got acquired by Elance, and then that got acquired by freelancer.com. So on I guess it was VWorker or Rent a Coder, whatever. I just for the sake of experimentation, I bid on a project. It was somewhere around $100, and I don't know how I got that job. I did not know anything about JavaScript. I knew that I can do it, but I did not know anything about JavaScript. I had not done any JavaScript coding, and that project was all about JavaScript. So I learned JavaScript and got that project done, and I got $100. I was excited. because I had nothing else to do in the job. I thought I'll make a lot of money doing this. So I started bidding on other projects, but I did not get any project. So I stopped that and started doing something else. Now, because like I said, I had already realized that job is not what I want to do. मेरे को जॉब नहीं करना था, और सी डॉट में तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं करना था, जॉब करना ही नहीं था. सो आई कॉल्ड माई फादर एंड आई सेड दैट आई वॉन्ट टू क्विट जॉब and do something on my own. I love electronics, I love robotics, I'll do robotics, electronics, microcontroller, VLSI trainings. So I'll teach students and I'll do that. And my father said, okay, that's fine, if you want to leave job, you can do that. But do it for 3 years. He said, do it for 3 years. 3 साल के लिए करो, उसके बाद छोड़ देना. I said, okay. So I stayed in the job for 3 years, and as soon as my 3 years ended, that day I was out of C dot. And almost during that time, I had built up a company which was into training of microcontrollers, robotics, and VLSI. I had done seminars across India in several universities, including NIT Bhopal and a lot of. I was in Bangalore, yes. So I had done in some colleges in Bangalore and some other colleges in South India. And as part of my organization, we did a program in Roorkee, BITS Pilani as well. So yes, we did in several places. And after 3 years, I was out of job. That's good. And I had a company, a very small one, not much, but yes, I had something. And I started doing these trainings, and within 2 or 3 months, I had a big shock in my life. So if you have faced challenges, you need to understand that you will it happens and you will have to move forward. And this shock in my life was such that I had to move out of Bangalore. I left electronics, I left microcontrollers, I left robotics, and since then, 2010 to 2020, 10 years, I haven't done almost anything on electronics or robotics or microcontrollers. So that shock in my life changed my entire life. I came back home with my parents, and I did not know what to do. Has anyone faced situations like this where you are in a blank state, where you don't know what to do, where your family doesn't know what you should do, and you have to start afresh from zero? Has anyone faced that situation? You can. Anyone? No? So you are lucky. If you have not faced that kind of situation, you are lucky. You have not faced that situation. I faced it. I guess Himanshu is saying yes. Okay, so we have one person somewhat like me. So it was a situation where I had left my job, and the company I started, I had closed that down as well within few months. And there was a complete U-turn in my career. I was a 100% electronics guy. I used to do seminars of 500 people, and I used to tell them, if you have done engineering in electronics, you should follow your career in electronics. Don't come to software. And suddenly I am out of job, out of business, back home, and I don't know what to do. And that is when I said, I'll do anything, and whatever I do, I'll do good. My parents were like, go back, but I was saying, no, I'll stay with you. So that is when I had nothing to do. I thought I'll start a shop. I'll start a computer shop. So I'll sell computers. I'll assemble computers and sell it to people, like any shop you buy computers from. That is what I had planned. I had arranged all logistics. I had planned everything. I had talked to the person who would supply me stuff. I had looked for a shop. I did every background work for this new business that I was starting. And suddenly, my mother said that, thanks to her, my mother said that this time is not good. We are into bad patch of life. Um, your kundli is not good right now. So for 3 months, don't do anything. Don't start this business for 3 months, and after that, you can do anything you want. I said, okay, no problem. Anyway, I had left everything, so it didn't matter 3 months or 6 months. I said, okay, no problem. So for this 3 months, I thought what to do. So let's spend time on internet and whatever I can do. So at the back of my mind, I remembered that I had done one project and I had earned $100. So I said, for 3 months, I have nothing to do. Let's try again. So it was just for a trial. Let's try again. Anyway, I'm going to open a shop, so let's try and earn few $100 here. And that is where I started freelancing. And I bid for a project. Again, I got some $100 or $150 project. I again learned that technology and got it done. It was related to JavaScript again, and I got it done. Then I got another project on Joomla for maybe $200. I learned Joomla, PHP, and I got it done. It took around 1 week or so. Then I got some other project in, I guess, OpenCart or something. So I got that done. Then I got a project to build an entire platform. So I had to build it on Smarty, Smarty, which is a, what do we call, something like a framework. I forgot what do we call that. So I built it on Smarty. I learned everything, and it was like 1 month project, and I was working day and night. I got that done. I didn't get paid 100% on that project, and then this went on. And at the end of 3 months, when I was about to start my computer shop, at the end of 3 months, I was earning more than I was earning in my C dot job. And I thought to myself, okay, let's say if I start this shop, will I earn more than that? And I thought, no, I cannot earn this much even if I'm doing a good shop business. And I'm earning here as a freelancer more than what I would earn there. So I dropped my shop idea and I thought, let's spend at least 1 more year on this and see how stable it is. Then I did projects on all sorts of things. I learned Android programming, core Android. I did not know Java. I learned Java and Android, and I did 1 or 2 Android projects. I did not know iOS programming. I learned iOS language. It is very tough. I learned iOS, and publishing that app on App Store. It was very tough. I don't know how it is now. Um, I'm talking about around 8 or 9 years back. So I did an iOS app for a barber shop. I don't know which country. So I did that project. I got that done. I got paid. I did some chatting engine on Erlang or whatever language it was. I don't know. So, and then I learned Moodle. I learned Moodle. I did a lot of projects on Moodle. Then I learned WordPress, and I did some projects on WordPress. I did several projects on Joomla. So it was, when I'm talking about so many projects, you might think it was like 5 years journey. No, it was approximately 1 year in which I did all these things. So since I left my job and came back home, within 1 year I did all these projects. I did some projects for Sennheiser. I did some projects for Boss and Lomb, Varlex, and some of these very reputed organizations. So within 1 year, I had done so many projects, and finally I landed up a job with a company in US, and I worked for that guy for about 1 year, and with him I did a lot of projects on Moodle. I did a lot of projects on PHP, core PHP. It was a very nice journey. I used to work around 15 hours to 20 hours per day, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot during that period. Um, so by the end of this 2 years, uh, I had I had a rocking journey with my new employer, and I was about to enter a new phase of life when I was about to get married. So this was another turning point in my life where, yes, it is a turning point for everyone's life when you get married. So just before I got married, I realized that I'll be getting married very soon. So I told this person that I'll not be able to work 15 hours, 20 hours a day. Yes, 20 hours a day. So I said I'll not be able to work 15, 20 hours a day, and I need to do something. And things got rocky with him, and yes, I got cheated as well. Anyway, so that is when I left him. I had a two 2 months of my life when I had very little to do, and during that time, I built this software called GrassBlade XAPI Companion. That is what I'm selling till now. So GrassBlade XAPI Companion was built during that time, and I become I became a businessman from an employee and a freelancer. So if you see the phases of my life where I was an electronics non-software background person, to I started learning PHP. I became a PHP pro. You can say I was doing big projects within a year time, and within next year I became a businessman with my own product. And after that, today we have clients like United Nations. We have Department of Social Service, New York City. We have a lot of government organizations in Australia. We have Kia Motors from Korea. We have PNY. A lot of universities, University of Wisconsin, University, so many universities in US and other places, and a lot of new beginners who are doing just experimenting with e-learning. So this product, GrassBlade XAPI Companion and GrassBlade LRS, all these both these products are related to e-learning, and it helps people launch their own e-learning platform. It is generally used with WordPress. If you have not heard, doesn't matter. So it is generally used with WordPress, and I would not. This is not about GrassBlade, so I'll keep it short on GrassBlade. So this is how my life went on. If you are so today, I'm going to talk about you. If you are in a phase where you don't have a computer science background, you need to realize that you can learn programming. You can become a pro within 1 to 2 years of time. Yes, you have to put in 15 to 20 hours a day in the beginning. If you are in a phase of life where you already have computer science background, you are in a plus. I was not in that plus. And if you are not yet a pro, if you are not confident, if you are not getting a good job, if you are not getting good projects, you can get it done by learning simple stuff. Uh, some of them I'll be talking about today. So let's move beyond me. So today we are talking about PHP. Now, what is PHP? PHP is a language. How do you learn a language? When we get into PHP or any programming language, we think about computers and we believe that it works different from our own languages. But we need to realize that PHP is called a language, or C is called a language, or JavaScript is called a language. It is called a language for a reason. There is a reason why it is called language. It is exactly like any language. If you want to talk to a French person, you have to talk in French, right? If you have to talk to computer, you have to talk with computer in computer language, that is binary. But binary is tough to talk. People have built other languages which are easier, which are more human friendly. So PHP is one of them, C is one of them, JavaScript is one of them. These are languages built to become a bridge between us and computers. So we cannot talk binary, it is very complicated for us. So there is a bridge which is more human friendly, more human like language. So PHP is a language, that is one thing that you need to understand. Even if you are a programmer, even if you are a developer, even if you are a coder, you need to understand that PHP is a language. So how do you learn a language? If you want to learn French, how do you learn that? Can anyone tell? If you want to learn French, what do you do?
This is Saurabh here.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so basically, in order to learn something new, you first start learning the basics,
like
like
the
the
basic
basic
essentials
essentials,
like
like
all
all
the
the
alphabets
alphabets
and
and
basic
basic
terms and
terms and
terminologies
terminologies
that
that
are
are
used
used
in the
in the
language, and
language, and
then
then
progressively
progressively
you
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 learn
learn
about
about
how
how
combining the
combining the
sentences
sentences
using
using
those
those
basic
basic
words
words
or
or
alphabets,
alphabets,
and
and
how
how
those are
those are
used in
used in
day-to-day
day-to-day
conversations and
conversations and
using
using
real-life
real-life
scenarios.
scenarios.
So
So
you
you
move
move
from
from
one
one
level to
level to
another
another
level,
level,
and
and
with
with
time you
time you
gain
gain
proficiency with
proficiency
the
with the
language.
language.
So that's
That's
my
my
idea
idea
about it.
about it.
Okay, good. Anyone else? कोई और कुछ शेयर करना चाहेगा कि कैसे एक नया लैंग्वेज हम सीख सकते हैं, या नया लैंग्वेज सीखते हैं तो क्या करना होगा? ठीक है, मैं अपना आइडिया बताता हूँ। सौरभ ने बहुत हद तक सही कहा कि वी लर्न द अल्फ़ाबेट्स, वी लर्न द वर्ड्स. Actually, what we do is we we don't. Do you think in French if you want to learn French? क्या हम फ्रेंच में सोच सकते हैं? हमारा मदर टंग अगर हिंदी है और इफ़ और मदर टंग इज़ इंग्लिश, we'll be thinking in English or Hindi, whatever our mother tongue is. But can we think in French? We cannot do it, right? If we want to write in French, what do? We first think in our mother tongue. अगर मेरे को बोलना है कि मैं तुमसे प्यार करता हूँ, तो वी हैव टू थिंक फर्स्ट मैं तुमसे प्यार करता हूँ, एंड देन वी थिंक हाउ टू ट्रांसलेट इट टू फ्रेंच, राइट? हम ये नहीं सीधे कि उसी लैंग्वेज में हम सीधे सोच करके और उसी लैंग्वेज में बोल दें. हम पहले वी विल फर्स्ट थिंक इन हिंदी or English or whatever our mother tongue is, and then we'll try to translate word for word and sentence for sentence, and that is how we get a different language. And the other way around, if someone speaks in French or writes in French, we will try to translate it and then understand in our language. Or even if we have learned a bit of it, we will read it and then think in Hindi or English, whatever our language is. So when learning a new language, once you are very proficient, maybe you can think in that language, but when you are learning, you cannot think in that language. You have to think in your own language. So it is important to understand that we have to think in our own language, be ourselves. This is nothing new, and we can translate it anytime. So don't, if you are talking about PHP, don't think in loops and if else. If I ask you to write a program and you start with for I is equal to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, you are going in the wrong way. You have to understand that you have to think in own language. You have to be able to tell, first we will take one character from this, let's say I have to invert my name Pankaj, so I want it opposite J, K, whatever. So when talking about how to program it, you have to say that first we will take the last character, loop through the entire string till the first character, output the last character first, then second last character, and then third last character until the first character. That is what we have to do. So when you can explain it in that way, in that stepwise way, then you can translate using translation techniques. So when you talk about we have to go from last to first or first to last, that means you have to either select each character separately or do a loop through the entire string for getting each character. So you can, once you understand it in your own language in very simple stepwise terms, you can use the same translation techniques that you use for any other language, to translate it to any programming language, PHP, for current scenario. Try to remember only the translation. Now, when you are learning, don't try to learn the code. Don't try to remember the code. Don't try to remember the, let's say, if there is a 50-line code, don't try to remember the 50-line code. Try to remember the translations. Try to remember how to change a loop, write a loop if you have to go through something. Let's say if you're learning French and you have been given a novel and you have to write it in Hindi or English. Will you remember the entire novel in German first or French first and then translate and then write in Hindi? You'll not try to remember. If you have got the book in front of you, you can translate each sentence. But if you have to explain that book or rewrite that book without looking at the book, you would want to be able to write yourself. If you want to write a new novel, you should be able to think through what you want to write and translate each steps, not copying the entire novel from some other's book, right? So if you have remembered entire codes, you cannot use it in your own code. If you remember an entire book, you cannot use that entire book in your own novel. To write your own novel, you have to understand basic story that you want to write and then translate that story into whatever language you want. But you cannot remember 5 novels and write your own novel. Remembering novels will not help you become a good writer. If you want to become a writer, you have to understand the language, you have to understand the construct of story, you have to understand the basic things, how people get interested, how people enjoy your story, how you speak out so that people understand you. So these are the basic things which are not related to language, which are about your story. You can think in any language you want, and then when writing a book, you have to pen that down into the language you want to write that book. So remembering 5 or 10 books will not help you. If you understand the concepts of your story, if you understand what you want to teach to people or what you want to show to people, and then you know how to translate that, how to inform that to people in the language you want to write, you can easily translate that into the language and you can get that book done. For that, for becoming a good writer, you need to understand your story first. You need to have good vocabulary, right? If you have good vocabulary, you can write good novel. And you need to understand, like I said, I'll repeat again, understand the story. Similarly, in PHP, you'll need to understand your story and then you'll need to translate that story into the language. This is again a language, so either French or PHP doesn't matter. You have to understand your story and you have to translate it. To be a good programmer, you need to learn vocabulary. So you need to learn specific things in that coding language, right? Understand that you have to follow a sequence. Now, when talking about PHP or talking about novel, you have to follow a sequence. If you are writing a novel, you need to start with introduction and you have to go step by step till the conclusion, till the end. You have to follow a good sequence. A good backbone of a story will write a good story. Similarly, a good sequence in coding will write a correct code. If you don't have the sequence correct, your code will not be correct. So you have to follow the sequence. Computer executes code in step by step. So you need to know at any point of time where the code is, and you have to be able to go through that entire coding process. Translate back to understand the codes. So if you want to read a French book, you have to translate back line by line, try to understand each word, what it is in Hindi, and then you'll be able to understand the book. That is how you read a book of another language that you don't understand very well. So you have to translate it back into your own language, try to understand it in your own language, build your own story, and then you'll be able to understand it, what that story says. So similar with PHP, you have to translate that code back into your own step by step algorithm or step by step sequence, and then understand in your own language. It is very easy if you follow this process. It is impossible to be a good programmer if you don't follow this sequence. So these are very simple things, you might have heard it before, but these are the basics and very important thing if you want to become a programmer. Now, if you are, let's say, given a choice, a translator or a writer, would you want to become a translator or would you want to become a writer? Can anyone tell? You can speak, write, chat. Would you want to be a translator or a writer? You have a choice here today.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hey,
hey
Pankaj,
Pankaj,
I think
I
for
think
me,
for
I
me, I
would
would
definitely like
definitely
to
like
be
to
a
be a
writer.
writer
Because
because
I mean, it
it
depends
depends
from
from
individual to
individual to
individual.
individual.
But from
But
my
from my
perspective, I
perspective, I
mean,
mean,
a
a
writer,
writer
would
would
have the
have the
privilege of
privilege of
like penning
penning
down his
down his
thoughts and
thoughts and
expressing
expressing
himself
himself
rather than a
rather than a
translator who
translator
would
who
do it
would do
like
it
a
like a
mechanically. It's kind
it's
of a
kind of a
mechanical
mechanical
job.
job.
So I
So I
mean,
mean,
for me
for
as
me
a
as a
person, like
person, like
expressions
expressions
matter
matter
more
more
than kind
than
of a
kind of a
mechanical
mechanical
thing.
thing.
So that
So
would
that
be
would
my
be my
choice.
choice.
Right, exactly. Anyone else? No one has any thought? Okay, so it is your choice, right? It is your choice, you want to be translator or a writer. A translator is not a writer, but a writer is a translator. A writer can translate his thoughts into his book. A writer who knows two languages can translate from one book to another book. He can do the translation job. But writer is much more than a translator. Writer is not just a translator, writer can do much more. Writer can pen down his thoughts, he can create a plot, he can build stories, he can design his own stories, he can design his own characters, and he can bring that character to life. So writer does a lot more than a translator. Translator can translate from one language to another language. Translate can translate a book from say Hindi to French, but translator cannot write a book. So it is up to our choice if we want to be a translator or a writer. I decided that I want to be a writer. So when talking in PHP terms, there is a choice for you whether you want to be a programmer or you want to be a coder. If you want to be a programmer, it is much more than coder. Coder is a person who can write code. Coder is a person who can write code. He understands for loops, he understands if then else, he understands variables, he understands arrays, but he can only translate an algorithm to the code provided. So if he wants to code in PHP, he can translate the algorithm, he can translate the steps provided to him into PHP or C or whatever language he's programming in. But a programmer is much more than that. A programmer designs his plot. A programmer analyzes what he has to do. A programmer tries to understand what he is building. A programmer tries to understand what the person who will use the code, how he will use the code. The person who is asking him to code, what does he intend to do? He will try to understand the requirements. He will try to understand what he is doing. He'll try to understand what that code will do. He will analyze each step, and then he'll break that down into smaller steps, into if conditions, into loops, into smaller steps which can then be translated into any language. So the programmer does everything from analysis, from deciding the data structure, from deciding the database structure, from planning the project to writing the algorithm, and then converting that to code. So he is able to do from the beginning to the end. And if you want to be a programmer, you have to understand that programmer is not just a coder. Coder is a very small part of his job. Coding is a very small part of a programmer's job. Programmer's job is to write algorithms. Programmer's job is to understand data structures, build data structures. Programmer's job is to do analytical thinking on what has to be done. His job is to solve problems. So if my client asks me for a project, he tells me do this, Pankaj, do this. I first try to understand what he wants. I then try to understand what he's asking for, and then I start thinking back what he wants, and I then think whether this will help him. And in most cases, I go back to him and tell him that no, I'll not do this. In most cases, I go back to him and I'll tell him that I'll not do this, even if you pay me. I tell him you have to get this done in this way, and this is how it will help you. Because if I build what you are asking for, it will not help you, and you will come back blaming me. So most of the time, I'm going back to the client and telling him that no, this has to be this way, and he has to accept it. So I have to do the problem solving. I have to solve his problems. I need to understand that. I have to go beyond my job. I have to think analytically on each step, from the requirement gathering to converting into algorithm, and then converting into code. And then even when coding, I keep optimizing the code. So the GrassBlade code that I had written around 8 years or 9 years back, I keep improving that. If today I go back to that code, I realize it was very badly written. So I go back and improve that, because I'm learning every day. So I keep improving that. So programmer is much more than a coder. and most of the people are stuck at being a coder. In universities, in colleges, whenever you learn coding, when you learn PHP or mostly C or Java, you are taught to become a coder, and you don't realize that you are not a programmer. It might be in your job profile, in your job title, senior PHP programmer, but most of the time you are not a programmer, you are just a coder. If you are given an algorithm, you can write a code. But to become a programmer, you have to realize that you have to do so much more than that. And to become a PHP pro, this is a prerequisite. This is the starting point. You have to become a programmer first, and then you can become a PHP pro. So if you want to become a pro, that was the prerequisite. Now to become a pro, you have to go one step ahead. So there are two ways. One is the easy way. The easy way to become a pro is to first find a pro. It is much easier to follow someone, to see whom you see as a pro and try to follow him instead of reinventing the wheel. So you have to find a pro. It could be your boss, it could be your friend, it could be your parent, it could be a person you have hired for teaching you, it could be your teacher, it could be your professor, anyone. If you are going for a new job, try to find a person who can help you, a person who is himself a pro, so that you can learn and become a pro yourself. So the easiest and fastest method to become a pro is to find a pro and follow till you are one. Whether you do that or you don't, you will be doing something like this. You will be giving everything your best. If you are a pro, you are beyond programming. So first I said coding, you have to go beyond coding to become a programmer. Now you have to go beyond programming to go pro. If you see this presentation today, and if you realize this is slightly different from any other webinar, there has been a lot of background work that I have done in last 7 or 8 days. I have learned new skills, I have learned new technologies, I have invested my time and money in putting this webinar together, and this is beyond PHP. So I have, for example, you might have received notifications, 90 days left, 90 minutes left, 30 minutes left. You had filled a form in anyone can tell? Google Forms. So you went and filled your name and email ID in Google Forms, and you were getting automated emails from my website. You were getting automated emails from my website. Now, when putting this webinar together, I realized to get a successful webinar together, I need to remind people to join the meeting just before, because it is a Sunday morning, right? So Sunday morning people would be sleeping. I would need to at least remind them. Let's say they wake up and check their email, they need to see that you have to go to webinar. So I realized I need to send them reminders. I tried several softwares and they did not work the way I wanted. So I decided to put together Google Forms. Now I wanted those emails into my software, my website, so that I can send notifications. So I went to Google API and searched for their code. Their API got that code, made modifications. I did that API pulling the information from Google Forms, that is Google Sheets, to my website. So I did this coding. It took about maybe 2 hours to do all that. It was a new thing that I had not done before. I knew I can do it, but because I required it today, I did it so that I can get that information from there into my website. And on my website I have a software on which I can write emails and schedule it so that it can be sent. So I did all that so that I can send you emails. Now this is not only PHP; it is beyond PHP. For this setup, I had to arrange lighting. I had to arrange stands. I had to arrange a lot of things. I had to learn a new software so that I can have my face in front of you while there is presentation as well. So I had to learn a new software for this webinar. I had to learn lighting. I had to learn a lot of other stuff that I'm not here to talk about today. But you need to understand, I have spent a lot of time on putting this technology together so that I can speak to you. When I was doing live presentations, live workshops, it was much easier for me because there were other people who would arrange lighting, there were other people who would arrange mic, there were other people who would do all sorts of things. Today in the lockdown period, I don't have my employees coming to my office, so I'm alone here. I have to arrange everything and I have to keep everything together myself. So I had to learn all this for doing this presentation. I had to go beyond what I was here for. So to go pro, you have to give everything your best. If there is something new, do it and do it like a pro. Do it, but don't say that this is new to me, so I just got it done, even if it is not perfect. At least try to be perfect. At least try to do the best you can do. And if you try to do the best, if you are not hesitant on doing something new, if you give your best, and if you try to be the best, I watched videos, I watched separate tutorials, and I saw what they are doing, and I thought that I'll do as good as this guy. And that is how I put together this webinar. It might not be perfect, but at least I'll be doing good. So if you want to go pro, you have to understand that you have to go much beyond a programmer and much beyond a coder. So anything new, you have to do it. If there are new tools, new languages, new platforms, new softwares that you need to use, you have to get it done. To give you an example, I had a client, he came to me and he said that Disney has come with a project. So Disney was launching this new movie called Frozen, and it had come with a project where they wanted to make games. So my client was a good designer, he could design things, but he wanted it to be converted to HTML games. So I said, okay, I'll get it done. So I built that game, and then he had an idea. He said, I have talked to my client and we have an idea, let's see, can we do this. So he said, what we want to do is, we have to put this game in front of people in a movie hall. So in a movie hall, this game will come up on the screen, and kids will be given some iPads, and they want this iPad to work as a game controller. And we want this game to work also on a computer, so that people can launch the game on computer, play the game on computer, but their mobile will work, or their iPad or iPhone or any mobile will work as a gamepad. And he said, we want, if possible, that there is no installation. So I thought for a while. I had not done anything like this before. I did some research and I realized that yes, it can be done. I said, okay, I'll get it done. It needs a new language called Node.js. I'll have to do some socket programming, and I can do it. So he said, how much time will it take? I said, I'll have to learn this new language, and it will take about maybe 2 weeks time, and I'll charge you for around 15 hours. So I'll not charge you for learning this new stuff, but I'll charge for every hour that I spend on the job. So it was okay, fine, do it. So I learned Node.js. I built a program on Node.js where it would it would launch the gamepad on your browser on mobile. So on mobile you can open this link through QR code or whatever. So he had put a QR code, you could scan the QR code and it would launch a web page. And as soon as you are on the page, when you touch, it would work like a gamepad. So if you touch, it'll move the character, and if you click, it'll throw snowballs. So it was for the Frozen movie, so it would throw snowballs. And they were amazed how well it was working. The user had to just open the game, it would show QR code, scan that, and play. You didn't need to install anything, you didn't need to do any preparation, it would automatically link you with your game, and it would not go to someone else's game. So it required a new language, new tool, new concept. But I did some background work, and then I decided to do it. And it did not take much time. Later we had to do some more projects, and then we decided to use some other software, I think Construct 2. Yeah, so we built some more games on Construct 2 for several organizations, for several movies that were released after that. So what I want to say is that if there is a new tool, a new language, a new platform, you don't need to get worried. You have to go at it and learn it and get it done. Get it done fast. If you have the analytical skills, if you have the algorithm skills, if you have the data structure skills, you can get it done. So to become a pro, you have to be non-hesitant in doing that. Now let's come to PHP and what you will need for it. So the basic tools, if you are doing PHP, you will need an editor. I started with Notepad++. For last several years, I'm using Sublime Text. These are very good text editors. You can use any text editor. It could be Notepad or any other text editor. But these are good. You can use. There are several others. You can use them. You will need a server. So it can be Apache, which is good. IIS can be also used. Any other server that supports PHP. So if you are installing new, if you are not already installing new on your computer or on your server, you can install XAMPP or WAMP. So if you install one of these packages, it will include PHP, it will include Apache, it will include MySQL. And if you want, am I audible? Hello. Is it better now?
No, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
Better now?
नहीं सर, थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, so you can install these softwares to get started. So once you install this software, you can write code in PHP and get it running. Let me. So for people who are very new, who have not done any PHP code, I'll do a very small hello world. This is a blank document, nothing is written here. I'll simply write the PHP tag. So this is how you start a PHP code. And then to get it running, I will let's say echo something. Hello. And I'll save it. I've saved it as hello world.php. Okay, you can see the name, I don't know, and I'll go to my browser. So when you install it on your computer, your computer will work as a domain, and your domain will be localhost. So I'm going to localhost / hello world. It says not on. Okay, so let me see, maybe I saved it too. So I think I had an extra dot in the URL, which is why it was not working. So this is my code, and this is the output. If I have a, let's say, a variable in which I store my name, I can output, let's say, and then so A is a variable, $A is a variable. I am outputting hello, comma, and then my name. So I'll get this. Now PHP is a server-side language, so all this code runs on the server side. It generates an HTML, and that HTML is sent to the browser. So if you are good at HTML, or if you have used HTML, you need to understand that HTML runs on the browser, PHP code runs on the server. So what will happen is PHP will generate a code, PHP will generate the HTML, and that HTML will be sent to the browser. The browser will run that HTML. So anything going out of PHP is HTML. And it can be also used for server side things like storing things in the database, getting things out of the database. And if you want to show that information out of the database, you can show it using PHP. So I'll not get into the details of how PHP, each elements of PHP, but I just wanted to give you basic idea how easy you can get started. You just have to write a very simple few lines of code, save it in the htdocs folder of your server. Some servers will call it public_HTML, some servers will call it www, some servers will call it htdocs. So depending on your server, the name of the folder will be different. And after that, you go to your domain and the file name. So file names are always in .php. So if you have a domain like our website is nextsoftwaresolutions.com, so if I put it in the public HTML folder of my server, I'll have to go to nextsoftwaresolutions.com/helloworld.php. So localhost will be replaced with the domain name if you are on a domain. So this is how you get started with PHP. Now coming back to our presentation, after you are good, or even before that, you'd need knowledge of HTML, you'll need knowledge of CSS, JavaScript and MySQL. So these are other things apart from PHP which you need for an entire project. So these are the basic things. If let's say if you want to make a website, you need to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you want to make a dynamic website with storing data, login and other things, you need MySQL also. So you need HTML, CSS, JavaScript and MySQL. These 4 things you would need to learn along with PHP so that you can build anything, because whatever PHP does, it has to make an HTML which is executed on the browser, because browser does not understand PHP. So PHP will be generating the code for HTML code which is shown in the browser. Why do we need PHP when it can be done in HTML? We need PHP because PHP will allow dynamic content on the page. For example, I had shown you that I had written hello Pankaj. Now that variable A can be fed with any data from anywhere, let's say from a database. So if I pull that information from a database or a file and then echo that, that will be displayed on the page. So that content is dynamic now. If you have only HTML, it is not dynamic. So if I write hello Pankaj, it will be showing hello Pankaj even to you if you open that website. So for you, you would want that your name is displayed. So that information has to be changed dynamically, and that is where PHP comes in. So you need to understand HTML, and then this can help you add additional dynamic information in your HTML. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript and MySQL are kind of prerequisites for most of the PHP projects. If you are only doing server-side coding, which is useful, then you can do with only PHP, but most likely you'll not be able to do much without doing these. So after you are a programmer, you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript and MySQL. The next step to learn is some of the fundamentals of MVC structure, model view controller structure, and for that you can start learning Laravel and CodeIgniter frameworks. So these are pre-built codes which can be used in any project. So these are Laravel and CodeIgniter are written in PHP. It follows certain principles of MVC, model view controller, where the model is separate, the view that is visible to people, the HTML part is separate, and the controller is separate. So model connects to the database and other things. The view is the template, so you can easily change the design of a website by only changing view without changing any logic. And controller works as the logic engine of the website or the app. You would also probably want to learn WordPress, which is very popular in PHP. If you know PHP, you would probably want to learn WordPress. So in WordPress, you would want to learn WordPress theme and plugin development. Now, if you are a designer, if you are a HTML expert, you can quickly jump to WordPress themes. Even if you don't know PHP programming and you are good at HTML and designing, you can directly jump to WordPress themes. Whatever you design in HTML can directly be put into WordPress as a theme, and then separate parts which you want to be dynamic, you can replace that with PHP tags, and that part of the HTML will become dynamic. So in WordPress, you would generally first build your design in Photoshop, convert into HTML, and after converting that into HTML, you'll put that into WordPress. And after putting into WordPress as a theme, what you would do is you would replace certain elements in that HTML. So the content area will be replaced with a content tag. You can find it on internet easily. A lot of tutorials are also there. You just need to replace it with a content tag. For the For the menu navigation, you replace it with the navigation tag. You'll have to add CSS so that it works well. And if you have sidebars, you can add widget areas tags in the widget area in the sidebar. So you can add separate PHP tags in separate parts of your HTML, and that HTML becomes now dynamic WordPress theme. So any WordPress site you go and enable that theme, your design goes as the theme of the WordPress website. So if you are good at design and HTML, and you are thinking WordPress theme development requires a lot of PHP knowledge, that is not correct. You need very basic PHP knowledge to learn WordPress theme development. I learned PHP in 7 days. It took around 6 or 7 days to learn PHP. I went through a tutorial, and at the end of 7 days I was able to write all sorts of programs with MySQL and forms and form submission and all kind of programs. And slowly I learned all these MVC structure, templating engines like Smarty and other things. In JavaScript, when you are doing front-end programming, you also need JavaScript to make things dynamic, do a lot of stuff. So once you learn JavaScript, don't start before that. Once you learn JavaScript, I would recommend you that you learn jQuery. So jQuery will make a lot of JavaScript stuff very simple. You can also do a lot of animation kind of stuff using jQuery on the front end side. So this is not directly related to PHP, but when you are developing a website or a web app, you would normally require all these stuff. So this is another level of learning. Now the resources, I'll talk about the resources you'll need. w3schools.com is a very good resource for learning HTML, JavaScript as well as PHP. Let's see. W3. So this is the W3 Schools website. Learn HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, W3CS. There are a lot of stuff here. You'll see learn PHP. So when you are learning PHP or any other language, you'll need to learn some specific basics like the syntax, variables, how to print something, the different data types it has, strings, numbers, math, operators, if else, switch, loop, functions, arrays, super globals. So if you know any other language, let's say C, and if you read through this list, you'll realize that you already know this if you replace this PHP with C. So let's say if you know C and you see that C syntax, C variable, C echo, operand, C numbers, C maths, C if then else, you'd realize every language has these basic stuff. So you can go through this. It'll take maybe 2 or 3 days to go through all this, and you'll be almost ready for PHP. If you are a video kind of person who learns through video and interaction and more training, I learned through a video tutorial called Killer PHP. So there is a site called killerphp.com. I had learned through this site in 2007, I guess. So it is like 13 years back, and at that time this site and this tutorial was completely free. I just checked yesterday after a long time, and I realized that they have now got a paid course. Let's see where it is. So now they have a paid course, but it is much more advanced, much better than that the course that I had gone through. But this guy is very good. He teaches very well. And the course is $35. Very inexpensive, very cheap. but the tutorial that he provides is very good. So if you have invested lakhs of rupees in your education, I think $35 is not much. You can invest that, and I'm sure this will be worth it, because 13 years back I had gone through his course and it was awesome. After 13 years he has got an interactive course with much more advanced information, much more structured course, so it will definitely be much better than that time. Apart from that, there is a very good website called lynda.com. Lynda.com is also now LinkedIn Learning. So if you are LinkedIn user, you can go to LinkedIn Learning. So this website has a lot of tutorials. I checked for basic tutorials, but I did not find basic tutorials on this site. But it has a lot of good tutorials on WordPress, on PHP, some advanced stuff. So if you're going to do specific things, you can go in and search here. You might be able to find tutorials. So this site gives a 30-day free trial, I guess, so you can try that when you want. For PHP, php.net is most invaluable resource. So one of the beauty of PHP is that it is very simple language. You can write very casually, and it has a lot of functions. So anything you want to do, if you can guess that it might be there on there might be a function that can do it, you can just Google and you will find a function for that. So let's say if you want to check if a value is in array. So if there is a large array, if you want to check if a value is there in that array, so you can search value in array PHP. So if you search this value in array PHP, you will see that the first result is from W3 Schools, which is very good, and then second result is from php.net. So this php.net will be very valuable resource. All the PHP functions are there in this php.net site. So if you think of doing something, you want to be able to do something, and if you think that there might be a code already there, if you search, there might be a function in PHP already which does it. So if you search, you might find a function. You can go and check. So in array requires two parameters. First is the needle, second is the haystack. So in the needle you provide what you are searching for. In the haystack you provide an array in which you want to search that haystack. So it will return the key of the array. So this is how you can use php.net. W3 Schools also has a very good feature called try it yourself. So let's say if you don't have a server ready, but you want to try out some PHP code, so you just go to W3 Schools, find any code and click on try yourself. You reach this place, and here you can try your PHP code. So earlier I had written echo I'll do the same here. And you'll realize that hello world is there. So you can write PHP code here and try it directly without any server or without anything. If you want to just test or try some basic PHP code, you can do that. If you notice in this page, there is something extra more than what I had. So you see that there is HTML tags up and down. So if you are an HTML developer, you know HTML, this would look much more familiar to you. And if you see, there is a PHP tag. This is PHP tag. There is a PHP tag inside body. So inside body there is a PHP tag, and this replaces this PHP tag is replaced with whatever is output from the PHP tag. So whatever you echo or print inside the PHP tag is replaces this tag. So this tag is deleted and hello world goes in here, because I had print hello world. And if I run this, you will get same results. You'll see hello world. So that PHP tag is replaced with whatever is output from the tag. So you can use this as a testing ground for yourself as well. So these are the basic resources that will help you get started. I think that is mostly what you would need. Uh, anyone has any questions? We have few minutes left, but we can probably extend 5 or 10 minutes. Any questions?
So this this MVC framework that you mentioned, is it similar to the Spring framework of Java? Is there any similarities?
Which framework?
The MVC architecture, model view controller,
Yeah.
that you mentioned.
MVC is a concept, so it is model view controller architecture, and that MVC architecture is used in all the languages. So MVC architecture fundamentally is same. If you want to use MVC architecture, you can build yourself on PHP as well, and there are frameworks already like CodeIgniter and Laravel, Cake PHP. So there are several frameworks which are built on MVC architecture. So you can use the framework and directly go get coding complex websites using this MVC frameworks instead of coding everything on your own. So if you're starting, start with PHP only and then get to MVC and WordPress. If you have used any MVC framework on Java, it will be very similar to that in PHP as well. Saurabh has asked if there is any course from Udemy. I don't know. I haven't checked Udemy.
Pankaj ji, this is Alok.
हाँ सर बोलिए.
So let's say you have to hire a PHP developer.
हाँ.
So what qualities you will look forward? What qualities you need in that in the PHP developer? What do you think he knows? If he knows, then he will get a job for sure.
If you are a good PHP developer, first you have to become a developer or a programmer. So personally, I'm actually hiring. So if I'm hiring a new person, I would first see that if he has good analytical skills, if he has good understanding of algorithms, good understanding of data structures, and if a person has good understanding of data structures, good understanding of algorithms, good analytical skills, it is very likely that the person will be able to learn very fast. Now after that, if I want an experienced person, I would want that person to have some experience with PHP, but the fundamentals are much more important than the coding itself, because coding anyone can do. Fundamentals takes a little more time to learn, and a person who is experienced but doesn't have fundamentals, it is much more tough to train the fundamentals to that person until and unless he realizes that he has to go and get that understanding first. So I would first check the fundamentals of algorithms and data structures, and then I would see if he can understand basic PHP code or not.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? So to give an example, I have hired few people who had several years of experience and they could not do very well. But several years back, I had hired one person. She was on the call. I don't know if she is still on the call. So she was wife of my friend in London, and she applied for this job which I had published. And she had no experience with PHP at all, and I had put up a problem for all the people to do, and people with good experience were not able to solve that problem. It was not related to PHP, but she was able to get that done, and I hired her. And after that, she learned PHP, she learned WordPress, she learned everything within months, and she was able to do very well. She would understand what I'm asking for, and she would be able to get that code executed. So learning PHP is very easy. It took me 7 days. It might take you 3 days if you are better than me. If you are slow, it might take few weeks. But learning PHP doesn't take much time. If you have the fundamentals, it is very easy. You can learn in days. If you don't have, you go back and get the fundamentals.
That's what we see in almost 90% of the candidates. They don't have basic knowledge, and then they take shortcuts. They think they can learn some hi-fi technologies and then put that in the resume and get a job. But that is not the case.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah. The algorithm, data structure, and algorithm, basic things they have to know whether they are working in PHP or Java or any other language.
Yeah.
Some concepts of object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
So
those are the basic requirements. PHP doesn't require object-oriented programming. You can do it, and it is good to do in classes and objects. But PHP in itself doesn't require classes and objects. Java requires classes and objects, but PHP can be done even without classes and objects. For example, WordPress doesn't have any classes and objects. You can write your plugins in classes and objects, but WordPress in itself is written without classes and objects. It is only functions.
yeah, but when we move to Laravel or CodeIgniter, I think they use it.
Yeah. So any MVC framework will use. Any other questions? This is very new to me. I have done several live sessions, and most of the time it used to be a lot of questions from people, and I enjoy answering them. But online it is a little tough for people to ask questions, and it is a little tough to maybe answer them. Anyone has any other questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Utkarsh.
Hello, sir. I wanted to ask one thing. That I'm mainly working on front end like React.js. Okay. And if I wanted to start as a freelancing job, okay.
Yeah.
So it is necessary to go with full stack development, or maybe I will do a better job in front end, because right now I'm thinking that I will go deeper in that thing, okay, like making the animation type of thing, like, and I will wanted to deep dive into the React.js part, okay. So sometime I'm thinking whenever I wanted to go inside the freelancing stuff, so I'm thinking that I will start like a full stack developer. Maybe I will able to make a whole platform, okay. And if I will go as a front end developer, so maybe I will not able to provide only I will work on front end, but I'm not able to build a whole project. So it is necessary to go with whole full stack stuff. I will start with the front end only. I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah. So this is how I take it. If you ask different people, there might be different answers. But personally, in my life, what I have done, I'll tell you. Anytime there is a problem and it requires any language, I don't care. So whether it is front end, whether it is back end, whether it is PHP, Node.js, .NET, C, Java, I don't care. If I need Java, I'll do it. If I need iOS, I'll do it. If I need Node.js, I'll do it. So if you think something is stopping you, I think it is your problem. Nothing should be stopping you. No one is stopping you. It is you yourself who is stopping you. So if you are trying to do something and that is not happening with front end development, and if you want something in the back end, it is very easy to get started. If you're using PHP, it is very easy. Other languages might be slightly complicated. PHP is very easy. So within days, you can start doing back-end stuff. So if you are doing any front-end stuff, it is most likely that you'll need some back-end support. So if you want to show any user's name or a list from a database or a report from a database, anything you do, most likely you will have some dynamic content, you'll have some login kind of stuff, so people can log in, and all those things require some backend programming. So if you have PHP knowledge or any other backend programming language, you will be able to do that. Otherwise, you'll have to be dependent on others. So if you have got a very good team, you can maybe depend on your team. But personally, I have also always been dependent on myself. So when required, I have done iOS programming. When required, I have done Android programming. I have done microcontroller programming. I have built robots. I have built electronic circuits. I have done VLSI. I have done a lot of stuff. So if you can do one thing good, you can do everything good.
Yeah.
That is my philosophy. So if you can do good front end programming, I believe you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do good back-end programming. It is just about getting used to that technology. So it'll take few days of work to learn new software, new tools, and you will be up and running. Don't be afraid of new.
Learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other question?
Pankaj, one question, a different kind of question, or
Yeah.
so will you be interested in having doing an online course on PHP, like if you get time, or like once a week?
I'll have to think, because honestly, it takes a lot of preparation, a lot of time to prepare, and I have a very busy schedule. In last 9 or 10 months, I have released 9 WordPress plugins. Yes, I forgot that I had to make a plugin live. I had promised that I'll make a plugin live on WordPress during the call. So maybe we can plan something. Alok ji is a very good member of this team, and he has been very helpful, very supportive. He's passed out from IAS and always helping us. This topic was in fact suggested by him. So I really thank him for suggesting this topic, and I believe that people loved this session. Now I'll first make this plugin live. I'll show you how we make a WordPress plugin live. So let me get my screen together. Please hold on a minute. Are you able to read the text?
Yes.
Okay, just a second. I'll also get my browser. Okay, so this is my browser. I'll go to WordPress. So currently these are the 8 plugins that I have on WordPress. I started publishing plugins on WordPress since August last year. So I guess this visibility control for LearnDash was the first plugin that I had released, and then I released autocomplete in January. So considering the kind of niche these plugins work on, they are very catering to very limited audience. I think these plugins are doing pretty well. So there'll be a 9th one now. after I release this plugin. So that will be visibility control for LearnPress. So let me go to that page. Now I'm not trying to show you how to code a WordPress plugin, and I'm trying to show you how a plugin is released. I'm doing this because there will be a lot of tutorials, a lot of training, a lot of talk about how to build a WordPress plugin, so you can easily learn that. But a lot of you might be waiting, have built plugins, a lot of you might have built the plugins, but you have not put it on WordPress. I had a lot of plugins which I had not published on WordPress. So even today I have at least dozens of plugins that can be sent on WordPress. I had not done that, and I had been waiting, and finally one day I decided, okay, I'll do it. So if you are waiting, I don't think there is a good reason to wait for. Just put it there. And today I'll show you how easy it is to put it there. So I have already sent this plugin to WordPress. What we have to first do is go to WordPress/plugins/add, and you get to this page, add your plugin. So on this page it talks about what you have to do. You have to first log in here. After logging in, it will ask you to upload your plugin zip file. So you upload your plugin zip file, it will be reviewed by them, and after getting reviewed they will approve your plugin. And once your plugin is approved, then you get a SVN link, and from that SVN link you can publish your plugin. So I have already pulled SVN. I'll directly go to the folder. So this is the SVN checkout that I have done. It is a simple one-line code to pull that repository here. So in that repository there are 4 folders. The first one is assets, then branches, tags, and trunk. So the key folders are assets and trunk. So in the assets you will see that there are 2 banners, 2 icons for different sizes, and then some screenshots. So these are the assets that you have to build. So these images you have to create. I'll show you where all these have gone on the plugin page after releasing it. So these images will be shown on the WordPress plugin page. Apart from that, there is a trunk I had shown you. So this is the trunk. So this is the plugin folder. So whatever plugin you have built, all the files will go here in the trunk. So functions.php is my plugin code. I have got extra icons, I don't know why, so I'll probably remove them. So I have removed the icons I did not need there. So I have functions.php, one image folder where I have some other icons that go inside the plugin, and then I have a readme.txt file. Now this readme.txt file is very important. This readme.txt file builds the plugin page. So if let's say I go to this plugin, you see these icons, these are from the assets, and all this description is from the readme file. So there is a particular format for building readme .txt file. There are several tools to help you build that, or you can do it in markup directly. So readme file is what? So this is how the readme file looks like. All the information on that page comes from this readme file. Now let's quickly publish it. What I'll do is svn commit -m pixel release. Okay, so I have written this. Now I'll hit enter, and when I hit enter, this will go to WordPress and the plugin will be released. Sorry, I had to first add this to the repo. So svn add, and there are assets that I have to add. So I'll add the assets, svn add assets star, and then svn add trunk. So files in the trunk I have to add. I have added all this. svn status, if I check, so these are the files that will be sent. Okay. So I'll do that commit again. Now you'll see the status. It is adding these files. Now it is transmitting the files to WordPress. So it will directly go to the WordPress repository from where it builds that page. So it is, the commit transaction was successful. It is already done. The page should be there. It sometimes takes 1 or 2 minutes, but let's check right now. So currently it is showing nothing found. Let's wait just a single minute and we will.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Sir, what will it take to make a 3D game?
Okay, for 3D game, if you want to make, you would need to learn some tools. You can even do it in HTML5.
Yes.
But if you want to
Okay.
if you want to publish it in different platforms like mobile and others, there are different languages and tools you can use. Interestingly, I had started a course on EDX. I forgot to tell you this. Yes, there is a site called EDX. There is an app for them as well. This is a beautiful site. It has a lot of very good courses for free from different universities, different organizations. So I had started one course from this edx.org. So if you search for 3D games, so there is a language called Love where you can start with for 2D games, and then there are other platforms like Unity, which you can use for 3D games. So if you have not done game programming, I would suggest you start with 2D games. So there are some courses for game development. You can get it from these courses are very extensive. You will also find courses for data structures, algorithms and others, but these are very extensive. If you have time, these are very good courses. Some of them from very good universities, like this Introduction to Game Development. This is from Harvard University. So this is a very extensive course. I think it'll be like 30 weeks or 12 weeks. 12 weeks, 6 to 9 hours per week. So this is extensive course. If you can do it, if you have time, you'll learn a lot. So you'll find a lot of information. If you want to do it quick, you can find YouTube videos and other things. But this EDX is very good.
Yes, I will definitely try this.
Okay, so it looks like it is there now. So yes, you can see this now. So the assets that I had shown, the assets folder, this small icon is the icon file. So depending on whether if you are on 2x screen, larger screen, it will use the 512 pixel image. If you are on 1x screen, it will use the 256 pixel image. Similarly, for banner, there are 2 images for 2 sizes depending on the screen you are using. These names come from the README file. This by Next Software Solutions, this comes from the README file. This entire description is coming from the README file. The WordPress version comes from the README file. Tested up to PHP version, tags, all this comes from README file. The last updated and active installations are calculated by WordPress itself. Similarly, if you had seen the screenshot files in the assets folder, these 5 screenshots were there, so these screenshots have come over here. Now if you have added the tags for the screenshots in the README file, you'll also see the tag here. Otherwise you'll not see that. So you see the screenshots there. The fakes also come from the README file, and this contributor and developer also comes from the README file. So all this comes from there. The plugin is released already, and you can see how easy it was. It took few minutes. I think WordPress runs a cron job every few minutes to send the files from SVN to wherever they are publishing it. Okay, so this is it. I will say now thank you.
Great, sir.
Thank you for joining in. I hope you liked, and please keep in touch. If you liked this session, please like and comment on Facebook and wherever you can. If you learn anything new based on this information, please do inform me. Please do write on Facebook or WhatsApp, wherever you are connected. It'll be always good to see you learn and grow.
Thank you.